Okay, hey, how y'all doing? It is Miss Crystal here from Diva Beauty Studio. Today I will be doing a start to finish tutorial of male braiding. This will be a stitch braid tutorial. So before we get started, the things that you will need to complete this look will be a parting comb like this, something with a nice pointy edge to get your parts nice and clean and precise. Okay, you can use your braid gel of choice. All right, a spray to give it a shine afterwards, and some mousse just to pull everything together so it can look nice and fresh. Now my client Lawrence here, he's already been shampooed. You want to say what's up?
Hey, what's happening, y'all?
What's happening? Okay, so he's already been shampooed and I have blown him dry. I used the heat protectant to protect his hair. This is the Trillion. I don't know if you can see that, but this Trillion by Sebastian. Nice heat protectant just so his hair won't get damaged by the blow dryer. And I'm getting ready to start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to section him off. I'm going to pre-part just so I can make sure that each braid is the same size as the other braid, okay? So he getting a man bun. I'm gonna go ear to ear with my part just to separate the front from the back. Oh, can't forget you need rubber bands. I got rubber bands on my finger just to make it easy. So my client wanted his bun to sit pretty high on top of his head. So that's where I put my part at. What I'm using now, if you can tell, I have a palette of braid gel on the back of my hand that I dip into with my comb from time to time. Okay, this braid gel is magic in a jar. Okay, this braid gel you can use with every texture of hair. Caucasian hair, Afro kinky hair. From one extreme to the other. From super straight to super Afro kinky kinks. So I've started to section off for his braids. He's going to get 3 braids in the back. So right here with male braids, of course, no one wants, well, you don't want to make the braids completely straight. You do want it to have a bit of a slant or curve to it. So when doing male braiding, you do not want to curve the braids too much. You want to make sure that it have some sharp edges. So that's what I'm doing here. Just make sure some nice points into his part so it can still look manly, I guess. So I mapped out the first section for the braid, and I'm just going to repeat the same thing on the other side. I want both of these braids on each side to mirror each other. So the same parting technique that I'm doing for one side on the left side, I'm also doing for the right side. And then I'm going to keep going back and forth into my braid gel just to make sure that the braids can be nice and sleek. And this braid gel, it also helps you to make your parts more defined. So you can take the braid gel and directly apply it to your part as well. And that would just help to make sure that the part is even more defined and even more precise. After you section off each part, you can go ahead and rubber band each section of the hair away so that you don't disturb your parts and it'll be neatly out of your way. Everything is nice. You can take a look and see if each of the sections are uniform in size. I decided to add a couple of smaller braids in between the large braids just to give it more of a detail. You want to repeat the same thing on the other side because we want our braids to mirror each other. And with the parts, to get your parts nice and straight, you want to use the previous part as a guide. You just outline the part that you're going to be braiding off based off of the part that you already sectioned off. Make sure the parts have the same curvature. You want each line and each point to line up. I gave you a better angle so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to start at the nape of his head and I'm going to braid all the way up. Okay, you want to take your time, make sure your stitches for your braids are nice and tight. Not too tight. You don't want to add too much tension to his hair, but you want to keep the braids, each stitch of your braid, you want to pull it taut. So it'll be a nice, clean, precise braid. And you just follow that all the way up his head. Make sure that you keep your parts clean because that is really what makes the style. When your parts are more defined, that's what really make the braid stand out. So make sure the hair that you're not using, you want to make sure that it's neatly tucked away out of your way. So when you braid, it's clean braids. Now it's time for the best part. I got the smaller braids out of the way. They are mirrored. And it's time for the feed-in braid now. Well, for the stitch braid because I'm not feeding in hair. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more braid gel because, again, it makes for a clean braid. Your hair is nice and sleek, it's shiny, and it's more easier to braid with because it's the hair is more slippery, so it gives you a better braid. So just comb it all the way through, comb the braid gel all the way through. When I start my feed-in braids, I like to do a straight part across horizontally. So, and I braid that about 5 or 6 times before I start to do my stitches. You can't really see me doing the stitches right here, but just give it a second as I work my way up. Pay attention to how you can either use the comb or you can use, if you have long fingernails, you can use your fingers, the tips of your fingernails. That's where your finger dexterity comes into play because you are able to wiggle your finger and give your fingernail pretty much acts as if it's a comb, okay? It slices through the hair. My finger of choice is my pinky finger. Sometimes I change up between the pinky and the middle finger. But whatever is comfortable for you, you can either use the comb or you can use your finger. Take your time at this point. Take your time. It's no rush. It's no hurry. Take your time. You want your stitches to match on both sides. So, however much hair that you part out for the stitch, maybe it's a centimeter or something like that, you want to make sure you grab the same amount of hair on the other side. So you won't have one stitch, say for example on the left side of the head, your stitches are a centimeter apart, and then on the other side of the head, you got an inch between each stitch. It's not going to line up. So you want to make sure you grabbing the same amount of hair from both sides. Continue to take your time. It's no rush. Make sure that you are combing throughout the hair just so you don't have no frizzy hair or no hairs that's knotted up or kinked up. You want everything to be smooth. You want everything to be straight. I'm going to show the process again just so you can see how it's done. So pay attention to how I'm combing through his hair because I'm trying to get out all the kinks, all the knots, all the tangles. And I'm swatching my comb against the pellet of gel that's on the back of my hand. So I'm combing through the hair, making sure it's nice and smooth. And then I take a horizontal part. I braid that about 5 or 6 times, and that's when I pick up and start for my stitches. Whatever is comfortable for you, whether it's the comb or it's your finger. I see a lot of people when they do stitch braids, they rotate between the fingers that they use. The fingers that are comfortable for me are either my pinky finger or my ring finger. If it's comfortable for you, you can use your middle finger, your index finger, whatever works, okay? Whatever works for you, do it. Just make sure you combing through the hair because that's the best part. When you see a nice, smooth, clean braid, that's the best. That is the best. Now the back is done, so we're going to rubber band that into a nice ponytail in the middle of his head. And we're going to get started with the front. I like to braid from the center, so I make sure I have a nice straight line from the bridge of his nose all the way back, just so the line can be straight. And he only wanted 2 braids in the front. So to add more detail to it, I gave him 2 smaller braids and I did the 2 bigger feed-in braids. But everything is off of a center part just so the braids can be symmetrical. They can mirror and they can look the same on both sides. There we go with the horizontal part. We're going to braid that section of hair 5 or 6 times. And then we're going to pick up for our stitches. That's just to have an anchor braid. You want that part to be nice and tight. That's the base for your stitches. At this point, we just about done. So we gonna zip through this so you can see the final look. So you can see how we looking, okay?
Look at that. Oh my God.
So that's good.
Ooh, that's better than what I had envisioned.
Ooh, that's even better.
You visionary.
Thank you. So for the finishing touches, we are done. I know you've seen a lot of people add foam wrap or mousse to the hair. And the reason for that is this is a wet product. So when you do your braids and you add something wet, it draws the hair up. So it makes the braid a little bit tighter. Okay, so you add your spray, whatever spray of choice, whatever oil sheen or oil that you want to add. And I add a little bit of spritz. Just because these are bigger braids, I wanted to stay in place for a long time.